Pretty wild, but Assassin's Creed Valhalla is now out for almost a month, and we should get a new update with the first post-launch content in mid-December as the year is winding down. But I think that in a year from now, we will likely be playing another new Assassin's Creed that is likely a next-gen exclusive. And I've been saying this for a while now, and I know it might sound crazy, but in this video I want to lay it all out and share why I think it's very likely going to happen. Like, we still don't have substantial rumors or anything, not Jason Schreier confirming the news. Something that did happen with Valhalla after I made a video highlighting that The Division 2 poster for the first time. And well, that turned out to be true, and while it is far-fetched, there might be another hint like that in a previous Assassin's Creed game. So there's a ton to go over. Thanks for tuning in to the Sunday Your Game show, where I also answer one of your questions at the end of the video. A like would really help the channel out. And let's go. Congrats to Tyler for winning my November giveaway for a 2020 game of your choice. I started a new giveaway for any upcoming game. You can enter via the link in the pinned comments. You have to be a subscriber of this channel before you enter. And good luck. In October 2018, so 2 years before the Valhalla release, a small part of the development team went to Norway to see the environment and get a way better idea of the world that they were making. And I think 1 year from now, some of these people will likely make a similar trip, but then to the setting of the next Assassin's Creed. And it is the team that made Origins and Black Flag before it, two of the most praised and well-received Assassin's Creed games, and now with Valhalla they are breaking records. Valhalla was namely the best-selling Assassin's Creed game in the first week in the history of the franchise. So I'm sure this team will now be working on a new Assassin's Creed game that we will see 3 years from now. It also took them 3 years to make Valhalla. But do you really think that between now and 2023 there will be no new Assassin's Creed? I mean, we all know Ubisoft, let's think about it. Yeah, not going to happen, right? So the question really is the new game going to launch next year or the year after that? And then 2021 is just way more likely. And that's for many reasons, like we already had an off year in 2019 with no new releases, although you could count the Assassin's Creed Rebel Edition for the Nintendo Switch. Like, really, if you think about it, Ubisoft hasn't skipped a holiday period without a new Assassin's Creed release since Assassin's Creed 2. No, but overall, 2019 was quiet after the Fate of Atlantis DLC from Odyssey, and a similar period happened in 2016 after the launch of Syndicate, and Syndicate underperformed. Interesting enough, it is the only mainline Assassin's Creed that did not sell more than 10 million this generation, as we see in the Ubisoft investor presentation. But we do see Odyssey here, a game that launched 1 year after Origins, and sure, it had a slower start, but it in the end outpaced Origins with sales, player engagement, and revenue. It did not hurt them at all to launch these games back to back. And sure, I don't think that Ubisoft will go back to the annual releases, and personally I prefer a long time between releases. I'm just here talking about what I think will happen looking at the recent trends, and then I see no reason for Ubisoft to not launch a new Assassin's Creed next year. And then have 2022 be the off year, or maybe that's a great time for the Assassin's Creed 1 remake that I totally think they will do at some point. And then in 2023, the Valhalla team has their new title ready. Of course, a big question is, but who is then making this next Assassin's Creed? And I want to talk about the possibilities in a second, but first, another reason why 2021 is very likely, and that's because Ubisoft has no other possible holiday game for October or November. Far Cry 6 was delayed and is now likely coming out in May, as was already leaked, and Rainbow Six Quarantine should be out by September 2021. Then we got Skull and Bones for likely early 2022, and that leaves the end of the year wide open. Also, Ubisoft wants to grow next year, and with those titles, that's not really possible compared to this year, so an Assassin's Creed game only makes sense. Also, at the end of 2022, they will likely have the new Avatar game that was delayed because the movie got pushed, so then Assassin's Creed in 2021 and then Avatar at the end of 2022 only makes sense. And this game is, by the way, being made by the Division studio. And yeah, again, as I already said, it might sound crazy, but can you name another possible holiday 2021 game for Ubisoft? And no, it cannot be Splinter Cell, because in June 2019, this game was not even in development. Like, maybe it's in development now, but then they cannot have it ready for holiday 2021. There is one major puzzle piece missing though, and that is who is making the next game. It cannot be Ubisoft Quebec, because that studio behind Syndicate and Odyssey just released Immortals Phoenix Rising. I did ask Scott, the game director on those games, in an interview if he wanted to go back to make a new Assassin's Creed game again, and it seemed like he was open to it. So maybe one day the studio will return to Assassin's Creed again. Because while I hope for the best, I don't think that Immortals will be a huge success. Maybe I will insert some UK sales here if we know about them before this episode goes live. Ubisoft Quebec did have a King Arthur game in development, by the way, by Mike Laidlaw, who was one of the leads on the Dragon Age series. It sounded really cool, but Serge, who has been fired a while back for harassment and a ton of other horrible things, did not like it, so he cancelled it. He had that much influence on Ubisoft. And according to reports, Ubisoft wasn't doing fancy games because of him. He thought that those would not sell. So yeah, luckily he's gone, so maybe that will change some things inside Ubisoft as well. Because I think that a true fancy RPG, a Kingdoms of Amalur style game, would be a logical step for Quebec, if Ubisoft will allow it. I'm really curious to see what this team will do next, but I don't think we will hear about it for a long time, so no, they are not doing the next upcoming Assassin's Creed. There are two choices, I think. Maybe Ubisoft Sofia is leading this time. They created Rogue and helped a lot with Origins, where they created the Serene part, just like Tombs, Pyramids and Quest, and then later also did the Curse of the Pharaohs DLC. If we go back to that map, we see Singapore as well, and for Valhalla, they actually did a quarter of the game, mostly focused on naval. Not weird, because Singapore is also the lead studio behind Skull and Bones. But in Valhalla, they also are responsible for territories like East Anglia, Yorkshire, Nottinghamshire, the city of Jorvik, and Vinland. And now they are working on the Paris DLC for early summer. Sofia is still mentioned as a contributor to Valhalla, but I just cannot find like which part they made. It could be the same as Origins, but on their website, Valhalla is not included or shared, and the last tweet from the studio has been from almost a year back. And with them seemingly not doing any of the Valhalla DLCs, maybe they are leading their own Assassin's Creed instead. It could also be a new team inside Ubisoft Montreal. What is interesting is that big games like Far Cry 6 and Watch Dogs Legion both have Ubisoft Toronto as the lead studio, while the previous entries in those franchises were all made with lead teams in Montreal. And last year we learned from Louis de Garuvel, who worked on Watch Dogs 2 and then a new IP that got cancelled, that there are over 15 projects at Ubisoft Montreal at that time. Like, for Ubisoft to have two Assassin's Creed games in development simultaneously is totally not weird, so why not at the same studio? Might actually be smart to have the Assassin's Creed franchise under one roof inside Ubisoft Montreal to like be on the same page in terms of lore and other things they're trying to achieve. And maybe the development of this new game already started at the end of 2017, because that is when the very curious and awesome looking concept art appeared on the ArtStation from John Bighorn, as posted by Quirt on Reddit. And yeah, he is a concept artist at Ubisoft Montreal. And maybe you remember how Valhalla got leaked, also thanks to concept art from a Ubisoft employee. In August 2019, Yves Guillemot, the Ubisoft CEO, said that he wanted a mainline game in China, and well, the concept art here totally hints at that. In 2021, we get Assassin's Creed Blade of Shou Jun, a comic that follows her as she returns to her homeland to exact revenge on the Iron Tigers, a group of Templars that brutally wiped out the Chinese Assassin Order. And earlier this year, Ubisoft revealed Assassin's Creed Dynasty, a webcomic for China that might see an international release later. China, or like an Asian setting in general, seems like a logical step for the next game. But to be fair, the setting could really be anything. There's no like real substantial rumor indicating where they might go next. I hope overall that it will really feel like a big jump from Revelations to Assassin's Creed 3, or from Black Flag to Unity, where Odyssey and Valhalla felt of course more like iterations of Origins. And that Valhalla post-launch trailer seems to hint at a post-launch plan for beyond 2021. So that could make you think, yeah, they will not do a new Assassin's Creed next year. I get that, but on the other hand, that could really be their Rogue strategy, where they of course launched Rogue for the PS3 and 360, so people on those consoles could still continue to play, while the next-gen gamers got Unity. So that is maybe what is going on here, that Valhalla will continue for PS4 and Xbox One, while on PS5 and Series X we get this brand new game. It's gonna be very interesting, and I by the way found this forum post from BigSim53 where he noted that in the India part of Chronicles there was this interesting Assassin's Creed symbol, and if you inspected it, it would say 2021. So was Ubisoft already hinting at a new game in 2021 back then? Okay, it's maybe too far-fetched, but I still thought it was interesting to share. What setting would you like to see? Let me know in the comments down below. And you can of course also leave a question in the comments that then I might answer in the next Sunday video. And I don't know when that next Sunday video is, because I really learned that when a new game comes out and I want to like focus on coverage for that, it's hard to do a big video like this as well. So I hope to do one before the end of the year, and then in the next year we will go back to the weekly schedule, so you know. And by the way, speaking of next year, I got a question from John Johnson. Hello JorRaptor, big fan of your channel. My question is, what is your most anticipated game you plan on playing besides Horizon Forbidden West? Because, yeah, if I had to pick one game that is already announced, it would be Horizon Forbidden West. Of course, I'm really curious about Cyberpunk. It's very close. The new God of War, we haven't seen a lot of it, but I know it's likely going to be great. But if I had to pick another game, it would be Hogwarts Legacy. Like, having an open world Harry Potter RPG is something I always wanted. So I really hope that that game delivers. And maybe we will see a like gameplay trailer or like a new trailer at the Game Awards on December 10th. That would be awesome. So yeah, December 10th, we got Cyberpunk, Game Awards, big week coming up. Let me know, of course, what you are looking forward to. Subscribe to stay up to date for coverage on that. If we see new Hogwarts Legacy stuff, I will likely talk about it here. But overall, the channel will be really about Cyberpunk this week. So subscribe for that. A like on the video would really help the channel out. And totally check out my video with predictions for the Game Awards that you can watch by clicking on the screen. For now though, I will speak to you next time, and goodbye.